Hey, it's been about a year and a half since I posted my last video, and I'm really sorry that I haven't given you any information, but I decided that now's around the right time to, stop the radio silence and actually step forward and tell you what's been going on. Um, so, about a year ago, during the summer holidays, things were going quite pear-shaped in the family. As I've detailed in previous videos, my mum is an alcoholic, and over the past 3 summers, I've essentially stayed at home because she needs someone to look out for her on a continuous basis. Otherwise, one day I might not have a mum anymore. So for the whole of the summer, I was essentially looking after her, coming home to see an essentially collapsed woman. It really did a number on my mind. I became really depressed quite quickly because I was essentially seeing my mum fall apart in front of me. And on top of that, my little brother, who is 11, he became really depressed and also started to develop eating problems. So I had to try and deal with him as well because my dad, he said, not another kid who's developing eating problems. So he essentially blocked it out from his mind. He refused it was happening, which meant that went unchecked for a while until my brother lost quite a lot of weight. And so as soon as I realised that, things were going quite pear-shaped, I got my brother sorted. I got him into outpatient treatment, and he's doing absolutely fine now. We nipped it in the bud really early, and I think it was just a sort of him acting out. He saw that I had developed an eating disorder to try and cope with the issues that was going on around me when I was younger. So I'm guessing he must have thought that controlling what you ate was a natural step, and so he started doing odd behaviours that I immediately picked up on, but my dad didn't because he never had an eating disorder. So he's fine now, and that's brilliant. But as I said, yeah, about a year ago, I was getting really depressed, and I started to realise that I was beginning to relapse again. So as soon as I realised that was happening, I thought, let's put these videos on hold because I don't want to give you guys advice if I myself am suffering. It's a bit hypocritical of me to do so. So I went to the GP. I I told them what was going on. I thought that I was beginning to relapse. And they said, okay. We'll give you an appointment in 2 months. 2 months. Um, like I was gobsmacked. I was so scared because 2 months was such a long way away to go without getting any source of outpatient treatment whatsoever. That I was flabbergasted. Um, and so a month down the road, I was losing weight very quickly. I was restricting more and more to the point where I thought, you know what, I'm going to die here. So I went to the emergency department in Addenbrooke's Hospital, where they admitted me, and I was sent to, I think it was a gastroenterology ward because all the other wards were full. And there I stayed for 2 weeks. And during that time, the eating disorder service thought, oh, there is actually a problem here. Let's try and get him an appointment sooner. So a day after I was admitted, the outpatient team came to me, and they started to try and source an inpatient unit for me because they knew that things, they left things far too long. And so during that 2 weeks, I was going still without treatment, and they weren't forcing me to eat, they weren't giving me any sort of therapy whatsoever. So I was stuck in a bed for 2 weeks, where I was becoming more and more anxious. So naturally, I was refusing food. Naturally, I began to lose weight. And oddly enough, I was losing weight faster in the hospital than I was outside. So even though things had moved forward in terms of the outpatients, things had moved majorly backwards in terms of my weight loss. And so during that time, I decided to write a blog just to show the horrors of what it's like to be in a hospital with an eating disorder and essentially getting no treatment whatsoever. I've posted the link to the in the description below, and I mean it's quite a long document, but it's a completely honest account of what it's like to be in hospital and essentially not knowing what's going on. And I was so scared. I was really scared. Um, Please let me know what you think of the document. However, 2 weeks later, I was moved to an inpatient unit, and that was around February 2014, and I stayed there until around May. Uh, and once I left, I was back to a normal weight, and what was good was this time around, going in as an adult, I went to things like CBT, which is cognitive behavioural therapy, psychotherapy, and all of these things. And I went in with a much more open mind than I was when I was 14. So when I was 14, I just went there, I chatted about my problems, and I wasn't really taking anything in. And that meant that if things started to go wrong again, I didn't have any mechanisms to sort of compensate for that. However, this time when I went to CBT, I was really, I was adamant to learn things. I was adamant to sort of take as much in as possible so that I could develop mechanisms that I could fall back on if I realised that things were starting to go wrong again. And this was things like learning about permission statements in CBT, where, for example, I would permit myself not to eat something for an obscure reason that may be inherently irrational. And with that permission statement, I would then form the action of not eating. However, now that I know things from CBT, I can identify this as an irrational permission statement and I can then dismiss it, which means that I don't perform the action. And that's really helped me. And oddly enough, I've come out of this so much stronger, so much more well equipped than I was maybe 2, 3 years ago. And the weight's actually been going up since then. I'm feeling a lot more energetic. I'm a lot happier. And then, okay, so that brings me to June 2014. And my dad, he wanted to try and essentially make me happy again. So we went on a east to west coast trip in America where we just hired a car and we went there. And I detailed this in previous videos that my dream is to essentially move to America when I qualify. And that holiday really, it really lifted my spirits, and it really just showed me that there is a future that I have to look forward to, and I loved it. I really loved it. So I restarted clinical school in September, and here we are. It's January now. I'm in a much more positive mindset, and I do intend to carry on making videos. They're going to initially be a different sort of subject matter where I'm going to maybe highlight to you a challenge that I'd been presented with, how I sort of came about it and what I did to overcome it. And hopefully that will give you guys some sort of inspiration to keep on going, because there really is a life out there that is worth living. And it only took me a year to realise that. Thanks for watching, and I look forward to making more videos. Thanks.